and she was there. But I think that could have been a little bit better honed. It should have been the first question. Why are you running for president? And what would you do differently? Should have been the things that in the first 24 hours, they honed in pretty quickly. And I don't think that they did that appropriately. And I also think that she could have probably deflected a little bit. And with the right preparation, I think she could have talked about the fact that in hindsight, it's easy to look. But the fact is there were a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that they could have done. In hindsight, sure, they could have done things different. On the border, for instance, why depend on that damn Congress to do something when you could do it on your own? They gave Congress too much credit. So there's a lot of things, I think, partly Monday morning quarterback, a lot of things that people are looking at pointing fingers.
So, Pat, Democrats are going to pick up some seats in the House after all this is said and done. They held on to some seats in the Senate that you wouldn't think they would have held on to given the results of the presidential election. Trump is going to end up shy of the 50% margin nationally on the popular vote. It's going to end up being less than a 2 percentage point win for him in that regard. Should he and other Republicans be using the word mandate? Should that be the kind of their governing principle going into this Congress, or should they be looking for areas of compromise?
It's already too late. It's been branded as a landslide long earlier, and that brand is going to stick. They exceeded their expectations. As you know, a lot of times in politics, the senator knows this, that when you exceed the expectations, the victory is exaggerated, and he's going to take advantage of that. One thing that we haven't talked about in the past is I think the president, Trump, owes Greg Abbott a lot of credit for this. When he made the very tough and controversial policy to move some of the illegal immigrants up to the northern urban centers, democratically controlled, I think that had a huge impact on public opinion on illegal immigration, made that even more of a national issue. And I think that was huge. And Kennedy was a much bigger factor than I think the media gives him credit for. And I think Trump understands that by appointing him DHS secretary. And I think that was partly due to some of the COVID things that happened. For example, in North Carolina during COVID, we closed down the bars, but didn't close down the breweries and said that was science. It made no sense. It was lobbying in our state capitals on, certain rules we had for big department stores, but not for small department stores, for churches and schools, but not for basketball games or protests. And I think there was hangover from COVID. And the last thing is the assassination attempt, I think had a much bigger factor in this election than people realize. When he stood up after being shot and yelled, "Fight, fight, fight," I don't care who the Democrats made their nominee. It's tough to go against that. We've never seen anything like that in U.S. history. And I think we kind of moved on from the assassination attempt, not realizing the long-term impact of that.
All right, let's go back to your first point about immigration.